You can only get what you really want when you know who you truly are. This is a profound insight. And I got it when I was working with a client who had achieved a lot in his life in his 50s. He had a great house, a family. He was very successful in his business, multiple 7 figures. And he was sitting in front of me and he was not crying, but he was in a very bad state. And he said, I always thought when I achieve those things, I would be happy, but I'm not. And I know this feeling very well because I was always chasing things in my life. I always had like visions and I wanted to make these things come true. And when I got the things that I wanted, I had this little peak, this little moment of excitement, and then it faded away. And in a strange way, I wasn't feeling much better than before. I see that again and again in the life of my clients who are high achievers, very successful. They have high goals, high objectives. They are very keen and very courageous in going there. And when they have it, still this feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction does not take place. In today's video, I like to explore with you why just manifestation and getting the things we want might not bring us the fulfillment and satisfaction that we are longing for. And I know out there in the internet streets, a lot of people are talking about how great it is to manifest, to build this, to do that. It's about skills, achievements, goals, revenue, all these kind of things. And it's so astonishing that when we are missing the piece that we are talking about in this video, all of those things are very nice, but they might not bring what we are actually on a deeper level longing for. Let's change our view a little bit and take on a perspective that helps us to see more clearly what is taking place here and also brings us the identity shift that is needed to create the things that are truly satisfying for us. So the first to understand is when we're wanting something, the question is what we want what we truly want? And of course, when we are starting with our projects, when we're starting with our careers, there are a lot of ideas what we like to achieve. There are a lot of dreams, and that's amazing. And then we build our skills, we learn how to do things, we have the challenges, we solve problems, and we learn how to make it happen. And this is also like very important and very good. But the thing is that most of the time, what we want in those early years or also in later stages, what we want is not fully the real thing, but we might not get it. Maybe we want something because we think this will bring finally some sort of feeling into my life, or we want attention, or we want to prove that we can do it, or we want to just make sure that everything is secure and that we don't have to worry about things anymore. And those are like top level ones, I would say. But as we are not really knowing who we truly are, the thing is that those ones might be first superficial, or they come from some sort of lack or scarcity that we have built inside of us, or we are creating something that we think is important to be seen outside as successful. But as those ones are not deeply connected with who we truly are and coming from the deeper source of our being, it's very difficult because whatever we then achieve does not bring this fulfillment and satisfaction that I'm talking about. Now, of course, the question is, but how do I know who I am? How do I come into this realization or connection with my deeper self? And a lot of us high achievers, people that accomplish a lot, we are so much focused on the things on the outside that we oftentimes miss to spend the same amount of time and spend the same amount of energy and spend the same curiosity and courage in exploring who we are. But without that, The issue might always be that what we want is not what we truly want. And this is such a big thing, because then when we over years and years have the experience of creating things and being successful, but we are not getting this satisfaction, we notice, maybe first silently, then louder and louder, we notice, okay, so what else should I now create that might help me out of the situation? And when this client was sitting in front of me, who was so much accomplished, who had created beautiful things, 400 employees, really doing great work in the world, and yet he was feeling this feeling, I recognized that this is so profound, and so many people have that experience, because he didn't know who he is. And so many of the things he created were not in full alignment. And it's not that we are kind of consciously not creating what we truly want. No, we are unconscious about it. We are not getting it. We are not sensing it, because we are always chasing the next thing, or we have those high standards and we want to reach those goals. And so the most important thing here is that we are creating, that we are building this awareness. What is going on? So ask yourself, how much satisfaction and enjoyment and fulfillment do you got from the last 3 big things that you achieved? And you might find out that there are a few things that were like really cool and it was really good. And there are also a few things where you wonder like, okay, I achieved that, but I'm not feeling it. And this gap between the achievement and the feeling, the satisfaction, the fulfillment, maybe also the gratefulness, this gap we want to close. And also what often happens as another layer is we create something beautiful and we are not feeling it. And then we are kind of judging ourselves for not being happier about it. Or why is it that I'm not able to feel the happiness and satisfaction that I thought I would get out of it? And I know that very well. When I came here to this place in Mallorca, it's a beautiful space. Like I was really like crying when we came here. We were looking for a nice home for many years. I was here and I was crying because it was so beautiful. And of course, when the peak faded and I was again in my own kind of grind, so to speak, I had those days where I was sitting there, I was wondering like, okay, so it's so beautiful here. It's so nice. It's such an accomplishment, such an achievement that we were able to come to that place, that we were able to manifest that in a way. And yet I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I'm grateful, yeah, but I'm not feeling this, wow, this is really beautiful. I was not really fully enjoying that, because there was still a gap between me creating things and me knowing who I truly am. So what helps us to understand who we truly are? Of course, this is one of the biggest questions of humankind, so it's not easy to answer. But the biggest, or I would say like most effective tool that we have is our awareness. With our awareness, with our recognition, with our capacity to see and sense and recognize things, we also can learn more about what's going on. So when you experience an achievement and you are also very honest and you recognize, oh, I'm not fully feeling this here right now, then you get a strong signal that something is off, that you might not be in full alignment. Doesn't mean that the accomplishment is the wrong accomplishment, but there seems to be some gap. And this gives you a signal to explore, to seek, to search more about what is going on. Because the awareness, the capacity to see ourselves and recognize very honestly what's going on, helps us to find those gaps, to see the clues. How is it connected? So, of course, as human beings, we are quite complex, and so it's not like if A then B. It's a little bit more vague sometimes or blurry. But when we sense it, okay, so something is off here. I have achieved the 100th times something amazing, but I'm not feeling it. for a longer period of time, then I have to become aware of what is going on. And then I can also find out more who I truly am and what I truly need. Because only when I'm connected with this more truthful version of myself, something starts to change. Because we are sometimes so immersed in all of the things we have to do, in all the struggles, the challenges, it's sometimes not so easy to be in an aware and present state. And I created the Brilliant State meditation. It's a 10-minute guided meditation that is really powerful and helps you to align yourself, within your presence, so that you have a moment of clarity where you can look at your life and you can look into yourself and you can see more clearly what is going on. And it can help you a lot to understand more about who you are, and finding those little gaps and those little things that gives you the signal what is going on in your life and how you can find more and more out who you truly are and build from that place. So when we're learning to become more who we truly are, suddenly, and this is the magic of it, and I have seen that many times in my own life as well with my clients, when we know a little bit better who we truly are, then suddenly also our wants are changing. And it's sometimes not that it's like completely different, like we are shifting careers or we want totally different things. But I would say the quality of the things we want changes. The quality of meaning and value and satisfaction becomes more dominant, becomes more alive. We are choosing our wants not from a place of outer expectations or old stories where we like to cope with some emotional trauma or neglect or whatever we experienced, but we are creating because we like to create, because it's inspiring and it is joyful. And of course, when we are coming to this place, knowing more of who we truly are, and our wants are changing, also what is very beautiful is that while we are creating, we are also enjoying the journey of creation more. So it can even be that we are not achieving the goal that we set out. We are not accomplishing what we wanted to have. And yet the process itself was very satisfying. So as we're tuning more into our deeper being, into our source, into what is truly important to us, what is truly valuable and meaningful, and we are creating life from that place, suddenly more and more things become fulfilling. And this is, of course, not like a once and for all thing. It is a continuous process. This is what I call reality design. It's the intentional building of your life from your inner knowing, from your deeper truth, which doesn't mean that you are only doing what you want and it's just about you. It's not egocentric. No, in comparison, it's even more aligned and more beneficial for everyone around you, because you can imagine when you feel satisfied and fulfilled with what you are doing, also the people around you will notice, oh, you are really in a good place. The way you create, the way you build, the way you work is inspiring for yourself, and this is also very inspiring and beautiful for others. So you are coming to that place, you're knowing more of who you are, you're tapping more into what is truly meaningful for you, and you start creating this intentionally. And this has ripple effects into all areas. So when I said you can only get what you truly want by knowing who you truly are, I'm talking about exactly that. And this goes way beyond manifestation, accomplishment, revenue goals, and all these kind of things. Beautiful things. I don't want to criticize that. But the satisfaction and the fulfillment that we are most of the time longing for after a couple of years of doing one round after the other, one loop after the other, this is what we are really looking for. We are seeking this deeper connection to ourselves. And from that connection, totally new ways of wanting and creating appear. And this life that we are then experiencing is much more fulfilling and rewarding. On a deeper level, maybe not as loud as the big push or the big peak, but on a consistent level of inner peace and inner freedom that we experience. What comes oftentimes into the way of it, like hindering us to come to that place, is that we're feeling too many things at the same time. Like I experienced that many times for myself, also with my clients. Highly sensitive, lots of emotions, lots of feelings, overwhelmed. And what can help you to come out of it is not feeling all of it, because not all of what we feel needs our attention. Sometimes it's really important to just drop certain things. And if you are struggling with being overwhelmed by all of the feelings, I recommend to you my video about not feeling all of it and getting this clarity and this presence that helps you to understand better who you are and creating a life experience that is more aligned, so that you really get what you truly want because it's coming from a deeper place. This is exactly what I'm also doing with my clients, helping them to find back to themselves, find back to their real core, to their essence, and then creating a life out of that makes sense to them, that is meaningful, and that is more fulfilling. If you are interested in that, reach out to me. I'm happy to meet you. Yeah, and this is it. The more you know yourself, the more you know what you truly want, and when you create it, you become more fulfilled, and this is really beautiful. I see you in the next video.